Hello, this is Edward Diarcos in Professor Firestone's Com 260 class doing my first review vlog on The Public Enemy, which is a crime slash gangster slash action movie which takes place between 1909 and 1929, and it was produced in 1931. So just to give you guys a brief background of this time period, the United States experienced the Great Depression, World War I, and the prohibition of alcohol. Now, the prohibition of alcohol was something that we are all very well aware of, and of what happened. It was when the U.S. prohibited the selling of alcohol it was a short period of time, but the prohibition of alcohol set in this movie goes along perfectly with the story because it shows how our two main characters got into the mob and started developing their own crime underworld. Who was the director? Well, his name is William E. Wellman, and he is the great-great-great-grandson of Francis Lewis, who happened to be one of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence. Now, William grew up as an athletic kid who also enjoyed his time joyriding in cars. And I think that if you take his past and put it into what it is now, you see the correlation and as to why he has directed a lot of crime, adventure, gangster, action movies. So the main characters of this movie were Tom Powers, who was played by James Cagney, and Paddy Ryan, who was played by Robert Emmett O'Connor. Now, as young boys, they were always getting themselves into trouble. And as the timeline progressed and they started to become young teens, they started to get involved with the mob and the crime underworld with Putty Nose. Now, Putty Nose was played by Murray Kinnell, and he was kind of like the mentor for them, and how they got into the crime and gangster underworld was through him, through one job that went terribly wrong. And when Paddy and Tom thought that Putty Nose would have their back, he didn't, and completely abandoned them. With that came the rise of Nails, or as they say in the movie, Samuel Nails Nathan. Now, Samuel Nails Nathan was a known, renowned gangster at the time in the movie. And through him, Tom and Paddy started to grow and become more serious gangsters. They started to kill people. They started to do a lot more illegal things. And then through Nails, in The Public Enemy, we are introduced to the two main characters. As I mentioned before, they are Tom Powers and Paddy Ryan. But we are only introduced to one family, and that is the Powers family, which is consisted of Tom Powers, Mike Powers, and their mom, Mama Powers. In the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where Tom Powers trips Paddy Ryan's sister. He is then punished by his father. But before he gives a smart remark to his father. He says, "Do you want them down or do you want them up?" And of course he's referring to his pants. And his attitude left me to believe that he is someone who will grow up to be the bad guy or the worst guy out of him and Paddy Ryan. His family faces a lot of turmoil in the movie because Mike Powers enlists in the Marines for World War I. And as he enlists, Tom Powers is starting his life as a gangster with Samuel Nails Nathan. I believe that in a lot of gangster movies there are two friends who grow up together, but you notice that one starts to become a worse person than the other. And in this case, it's Tom Powers. Another great thing that William Wellman does is the representation of Tom and Paddy's ego. So ego is another big characteristic of gangsters because they think that with this huge ego, they think that they run the world. Now, we see this happen in the scene where Tom and Patty go into a club with their brand new suits, and they see two ladies, which are Gwen Allen and Mamie, sitting at a table with their two dates who are passed out drunk. Gwen and Mamie notice Tom and Patty in their nice new suits and become intrigued. Patty asks Mamie to dance, and Tom gets the bouncers to remove the two women's dates so that they can sit down and talk to them. Movies during the early sound era focused a lot on the audience being able to identify the sound that each object in the movie made. So for instance, in the opening scene where Tom Powers and Patty Ryan are just kids, they're at a bar, and you notice the bartender turning on all the nozzles, filling up a bucket, and what they seem to be pouring out of those nozzles they seem to be beer taps. But another great scene is when Patty Ryan gets shot. So in that scene, Tom Powers and Patty Ryan are running away from a rival gang shooting at them, and the bullets that you hear are actual bullets, since there was no way of pre-recording the sound of gun shooting. When Tom Powers is running away from the shots, there are bullet marks that you see in the wall that are actual bullets. So this allows the audience to be aware of how dangerous that stunt was and some of the risks that were taken during the early sound period to get that great shot and the great sound quality. I want to say thank you guys for watching my review vlog, and until next time, I'm Edward Diarcos. Thank you.